Hi guys. So we're going to talk about Mars retrograde today because there's a lot of information out there, and most of the stuff that I've seen is people talking about how Mars retrograde is just going to be like a really karmic time and a really angry time, and to really watch your temper and to watch everybody else's temper and to, you know, like watch driving on the road and like all of the passive aggressiveness that's going to happen. And while all of that's very true, it's all a very general umbrella kind of statement for what Mars retrograde actually means. And so I sort of wanted to sit down and talk with you guys about it a little bit. This is going to air on the membership for the members first, and then I'm going to make access to the public for this. So if you're not a member and you're watching this a week later, when I post it up on the public, you now know that you can get access to these types of videos earlier on if you're part of the membership. We talk about astrology all the time. You also are getting access to Discord, and you're getting access to mid-month love readings, which I will be starting probably about the same time that this is going to be airing. So I'll be starting the love readings here in the next couple of days. So we would love for you to join us if you are not already a part of the memberships. I have all of my notes, like literally 3 pages of notes, because we're going to go through what Mars retrograde means for every single ascendant sign. So we know where what house Mars is going to be in. So I'm going to urge you, and I'll tell you guys about this a little bit later, but I'm going to urge you to look at your own chart, because even if you're, say, like I'm a Libra rising, and my Libra rising is at 5 degrees, so I basically have whole house system all the way around the chart, around my chart, because I'm at the beginning of a sign. But if I was at a late degree Libra, my houses in my chart would shift. So just because I say you're like a Libra ascendant, and this is happening in your 7th house, it may not be the case. If you're a late degree Libra ascendant, it may be happening in the house of Virgo, which would be your 8th house and not your 7th house. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to urge you guys to look at your chart, and we'll talk about that here in a minute on what to look at and where to go. Mars will be it started retrograde yesterday on September 9th. And it will be retrograde through November 13th, where then it will be in its post-retrograde shadow period. It won't come out of shadow period until January 2nd. Mars will be in Aries the entire time. The retrograde started at 28 degrees Aries. It will go direct at 15 degrees Aries, and it will come out of its shadow period in the 28th degree again. And then it will move into Pisces, where things will get a little bit more passive and not so much aggressive, but we'll get to that when we get there in January. So Mars retrograde is about, like, what are retrogrades? Retrogrades are about reassessing, redoing, revising, revisiting, all the re's, right? And Mars, like a retrograde, is when a planet appears to be going backwards. It's actually not slowing down, and it's not going backwards. It's the perception that we have on Earth to that planet, and the planet is actually getting closer to the planet Earth. And so the reason why the retrogrades seem stronger, or we have to emphasize a retrograde, is because the closer a planet is to Earth, the more we're going to feel the energy of it. But that could be a backfire of that kind of energy, just like when we have Mercury retrograde, which we will have during this Mars retrograde, which we'll talk more about when we get closer to Mercury retrograde. But so like when Mercury goes retrograde, the reason why all of the electronics go crazy and our cars go crazy and we have a hard time talking and everything's really confusing is because that Mercury energy is stronger because it's closer to the planet. So this Mars energy, what is Mars? Mars is assertive, it's direct, it's straightforward, it's about getting the thing done, it's about pushing forward, it's about, you know, very strong, straightforward, assertive kind of energy. It can be very aggressive at times, depending on what else is going on in your chart. So when it's retrograde, we tend to internalize all of that because it's almost as if we were to express ourselves with Mars retrograde. It would be like an explosion. It wouldn't just be an angry conversation. It would be this huge explosive mess. And so instead, we internalize it. So there's almost like this pressure cooker that happens with Mars retrograde, where we hold everything in, we internalize everything. It becomes very, very intensified. It's like, and we also tend to take things a little bit more personal. We're very, very sensitive, energetically sensitive, and aggressively sensitive when Mars is in retrograde. Mars goes retrograde every 2 years for 2 months. And much like Venus is like every 18 months, it goes retrograde for 6 weeks, every 18 months. Mars goes retrograde every 2 years for 2 months. So the last time it was retrograde was it was 2018. Gosh, I don't remember the month. Oh my gosh, I don't remember the month. I would have to go look. I didn't even write that down. But it was in 2018. The last time Mars was retrograde in Aries, and this is a big deal because Mars rules the sign of Aries. And so the last time it was retrograde in Aries was in October of 1988. See, how do I remember that, but I don't remember the 2000? That's so, see, it's my selective photographic memory is showing. It's weird. Okay, so this Mars retrograde is going to bring up how we react to situations and how we internalize and personalize the things that people say, do, and act around us, and then how we in turn will react to that situation. So one of the biggest lessons about Mars retrograde is to not sit on your impulses. If you are feeling a certain way about a conversation that you're having, or you're feeling a certain way, like somebody said something and it hurt your feelings or something like that, this is a time for you to really, really learn how to catch yourself in that moment and become really, really self-aware. Mars retrograde can be an amazing time to learn awareness, self-awareness, because instead of getting angry and reacting in the moment, you stop, you analyze, you assess the situation, and then you can come back to it with a cool, calm, collected attitude. And then if you get all ruffled up or, you know, rustled up in the conversation, you can say, okay, I need to assess that. Like, I got to take a step back. Like, not say, I got to go reassess this because Mars is in retro. I mean, like, you could say that to somebody, but they'll probably look at you kind of funny. I would say that to somebody. They would look at me funny too. This is going to teach us how to better learn to understand survival instincts and being really self-aware, being in the moment, learning how to control our anger, learning how to see our sexuality in a different kind of way. And so really depending on what house system or what house it's going to, not house system, but what house it's going to affect for you, that's going to show you what it is that Mars retrograde is going to be teaching you. So how do we find out what house it's in? Also, this may be a time that you feel like you need to rest a little bit more, which is absolutely fine. We've had Mars in Aries for since July, and we've been like go 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 go. So the second that Mars goes retrograde, we're all just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just sit over here and, you know, twiddle my thumbs because I'm exhausted. I don't know what else to do with my life. There's also there may be frustrations, some built up frustrations that you recognize during this retrograde, and those are the things that you really need to look at and be like, why am I frustrated about this situation? Why do I need to find the answers to this? Why is it triggering me so much? And so this is going to be a really good time for us to deal with our triggers and deal with our frustrations. Mars retrograde doesn't have to be scary, just like Mercury retrograde doesn't have to be scary. I'm just saying. Okay. So to find where Mars is retrograding in your chart, you're going to look at your chart. Okay. So what I'm actually going to do, which I didn't have this set up before, so just give me a second to set this up for a minute. We're going to look at my chart, and I'm going to show you okay. Thanks for your patience. Here's my chart. So, like I said, I'm a Libra rising over here at the 5-degree mark. And so Mars is retrograding in Aries at 28 degrees. 28 degrees, or it starts at 28 degrees and it's going all the way to 15 degrees. 28 degrees to 15 degrees in my chart, Aries, is in my 7th house. You see? Because this is where the 28th degree would be. This is where the 15th degree would probably be, about right there, I would say. So I'm going to look to see what Mars retrograde means for me in my 7th house, because it will be retrograding in my 7th house. Do you see that? So wherever it is in your chart, wherever Aries, look where Aries is in your chart, and then you'll be able to see the house. See, it's my 7th house. Then you'll be able to see the house that it's going to be in. Fair enough? If you have any questions on that, you can, of course, ask me at any time. Okay, so let's start off. If you're an Aries rising, this can also be for your sun too, but please listen for your rising sign first. But it can also, especially if you have like an Aries sun, or if you have a Scorpio rising or sun, those are going to be the signs that are, because they're both Mars ruled, they're going to be the signs that are affected the most. So Aries, this is going to be considered the 1st house in Aries. This is going to be a highly personal thing for you, because Mars does rule you. It's going to be pushing you more to allow yourself the time, the space, and the opportunity to pay attention to the details. I feel like if you really, really push yourself to do anything right now, it can backfire on you. And that's in like, if you're overdoing it physically, if you're overdoing it spiritually, if you're overdoing it mentally. Like physically, you might hurt yourself. Spiritually, you might get really tired and exhausted. Mentally, again, you might get really tired and exhausted. This cycle is really taking you to your personal, looking at your personal initiatives and seeing how you can readjust your energy so that it flows more with everything else that's going on, because you're going to internalize the Mars energy more than anybody else's, since it's like the 1st house. So looking at allowing yourself to rest, a lot of self-care. I would even say in the next 2 months, if you can take a vacation from work, or if you can, allow yourself to do things that take time away from other people and really getting invested within yourself, it's going to be a big deal. Mars retrograde to me is also like having Mars in your 12th house, right? Like having Mars, because it's a very internalized, it's a very personal placement, and you may want to spend more time alone in the next 2 months. So if you're around other people and they're like, why are, usually you're a very bubbly person and you have a big personality and all of these things. If you tell your people, I just need some time away. I just got to like reassess some things that are going on in my life, and I just need some time away. And like allowing yourself to verbalize that, because people are going to be triggered by the fact that you pull away, right? People will be triggered in their own Mars retrograde kind of way. And you're almost going to be the mirroring factor for them. Like you're going to be internalizing all of your emotions, and that's not something that you're used to. You're not used to internalizing your emotions. So Taurus risings, this is going to be in your 12th house. And the 12th house is about internalizing, right? It's about getting in touch with your shadow side. It's about the places that we don't necessarily show people. So this is going to be affecting your intuition and your spirituality. You may not trust your instincts very much. You may not trust the path that you're going. You may not trust that your spirit guides are talking to you. You may almost feel a blockage to your intuition, and almost even like the 5D, like the fifth dimension. You might feel this really big blockage to the fifth dimension and not even like able to talk to your spirit guides. That's not actually happening. It's an illusion. So if you are firm in your belief and your trust before the Mars retrograde, I don't think you're going to have that big of a problem. But this also may stir some things up inside of you with like buried or suppressed anger that you have with other people or situations in your life. And I know that with Aries or with Taurus, you guys kind of don't really show a lot of your emotions to begin with. So this might be something that's showing you how to react in a different kind of way. Instead of being the bull in the china shop, this is showing you how to react in a different kind of way. And maybe even like giving you an opportunity to look at yourself and how you react to other people. So Gemini risings, this is happening in the Mars retrogrades in your 11th house. This is affecting your friend groups, your associations. This is going to affect like how you interact with the community. Usually Geminis are really, really, like they want to be in the crowd and they want to have a lot of friends and they like to socialize. This Mars retrograde might find you retreating from all of the community stuff, and you probably were groomed through that with this pandemic that's been going on, and like, you know, the shutdowns and stuff, and having to be internalized and on your own anyways. But it's been, and so you may have already been like working your way up to this point, but you might find in the next 2 months as you are continuing on with your life that you don't really want to have a lot of contact with other people. That may be because you are finding yourself, you're a little bit more aggressive than you normally would. You may be finding that you're a little bit more judgmental than you normally would be, or finding that it's like it's almost like you can't tolerate people. Like you can't tolerate humanity and the community and people right now. So you might find yourself being a little bit more internalizing yourself and not being so in your face to everyone. Cancer risings. This is going to affect your 10th house. The 10th house is the midheaven. The 10th house is how we project ourselves in public, or how other people see us. And so this is going to affect your career, your projects. You may need to revise, revisit, reassess any kind of projects that you either have been putting off. It's almost as if this is going to give you the opportunity to slow down and be able to pay attention to all of the details. People may see you as more passive aggressive than normal. I know that a lot of people think that the sign of Cancer is passive aggressive. I didn't say everybody does. I said a lot of people see the sign of Cancer as being a little bit more passive aggressive. I don't actually see the sign of Cancer as being passive aggressive, but I understand where people get that from. But that may be amplified. That feeling of other people thinking that you are being more passive aggressive may be amplified. So again, using your words, paying attention to the tone of voice, paying attention to how you are interacting with people in your workspace is going to be a really big thing to you, because you're either going to be like really passive aggressive or really aggressive. There's not going to be an in-between for you. Okay. Leo, this is going to happen in the 9th house for Leo risings. This is about your spirituality. This is about your growth. This is about your evolution. This is about really finding out and digging deep and reassessing what you truly believe in. What is your belief system? What is your value system? What is your morals? Try not to argue with people who don't have the same belief system as you. I feel like because you're going to be kind of in your own plane of existence during this Mars retrograde, a lot of people aren't going to be able to relate on your level. So when you take a look at how somebody else is presenting their belief system to you, instead of being like, no, 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 you're wrong, and then proceeding to tell them all the ways that they're wrong so that you trigger whatever house Mars is transiting for them. Instead of doing that, listen to what they're saying, and then if you don't agree with it, you can agree to disagree. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a really big thing with Leo risings during this Mars transit of intolerance, of not being able to understand and relate to other people on their level when it comes to the belief systems, okay? And that may not be for everyone, but it's almost as if you're going to look at people and be like, why do you have to act? I'm like, there's no reason to be that way. Like that kind of judgmental, do you know that you could be a better person if you that kind of thing. So, yeah, just leave it at that. Virgo. Oof. Okay. So I'm looking at, for me, I've been looking at my sun and my rising sign in this, and it's already like so on brand. It's disgusting. Because I'm learning a lot of lessons on how I relate to other people right now. So here we go. So Virgo in the 8th house, this is about sharing your space, sharing resources. This is also about the kind of transformation and the depth of who you inherently are. It's sort of being brought to your attention because Virgos internalize that so much already that now that Mars is going to activate the internalization of how we are transforming ourselves. And because Virgos can be very critical of themselves. So they're always they're always like nitpicking their own bullshit anyways. And so now there's even more of a pressure of figuring out who you inherently are and allowing yourself to evolve and transform through that. Not just sit in that pressurized cooker telling yourself all of those negative thoughts all the time, but really allowing yourself to assess why I am the way that I am, you know, and that can be hard. That can be a very, very shadowy aspect of who you are. And so allowing yourself to say, okay, I know that I'm not a bad person. I just do some things sometimes that may need to be looked at and reassessed. That's what this Mars transit is going to do. Also, allowing yourself to relate to otherworldly things. Like you don't have to be so stuck in the third dimension all of the time. Allowing yourself to say, oh, wow, there are other belief systems out there could totally change a lot of things, a lot of your own inner pressure, internalized pressure system that you're creating with this Mars retrograde. Libra in the 7th house. So Libra in the 7th house is directly across from Aries. So we are at the meridian line. We're also coming into Libra season. So Mars is actually going to be just opposite the sun at some point during this. And that is going to really shine a lot of light on how we are balancing out relationships anyways. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into Libra season. But Libra, with the 7th house, the relationships are going to come into play. So it's time for you to revisit how you feel like your authority within relationships, how you have been too passive or how you've been too aggressive. How are you allowing yourself to understand and identify with other people? Like the 7th house is like long-term partnerships. So this could even be like friendships. This could be family members that you feel very close to. This could be partnerships in business even. Like whatever kind of intimate, and when I say intimate, I mean just very, very closely, like they know a lot of things about your life. So it could be friends, it could be lovers. It's the whole gamut of long-term relationships, people that are very stable in your life. How you're relating to them and how you are accepting that everybody's a work in progress, and how you are not holding in all of your emotions and everything that you need to say, and not being really passive about it. Because you can be passive aggressive and like say something under your breath and just walk away. I like to call that the cut and run. You can do that, or you can be an adult and you can say, I think that we have an issue here and we need to lay it out on the table and we need to discuss this, right? So like you could take the high road, or you could be really passive aggressive and then just cause more damage down the road when it is time to really hash out all of everything that's going on. Do you see? Okay, so we have Scorpio, the 6th house. Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. So this is going to affect you in a really big way as well. Really pay attention to your health, really pay attention to your fitness. You may feel more run down than you usually are. Please listen to your body. The 6th house is about organization and daily activities and health and fitness and really taking care of yourself. So you could be very prone to accidents on a daily basis. You could be very prone, like, I mean, I'm even saying like a paper cut, or maybe you trip and fall and you just skin your knee up a little bit, like nothing else happened. But like even little accidents like that, like small accidents like that, are possible. So, and especially when Mercury goes retrograde in Scorpio, when that happens during this Mars retrograde, you will be extra prone to accidents because you're going to want to rush to do things. And so you really need to allow yourself to slow down. Make sure you're resting. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Try and be as organized as possible. Like if you can plan your morning the day before you go to bed, before you even lay down, and you have your outfit out and you have like, you've looked at your calendar and you know how everything's going to go, and you start your day very intentionally, and you do like that 5 minutes before you look at the phone and you think of like, I'm going to kill today. Today's going to be an amazing day. Here we go. Like for the first 5 minutes, really being intentional and allowing yourself on a daily basis, maybe even come up with a new schedule, like something that's going to help you shift your attitude a little bit more so that you're not rushing, because when you're rushing during Mars retrograde, you will get hurt or you'll forget something. It will take longer to get something accomplished if you rush it. Okay. All right. So Sagittarius. Sagittarius rising. This is happening in your 5th house. So this is asking you to revisit your passions, like what brings you joy, the projects that bring you passion, the things that bring you joy in life, because it's almost as if like there was a project that you might have started when Mars went into Aries and you were all excited, and then it kind of fell off. And so this is a time for you to go back and really look at all of the details and see like, why did this not work, or why did this work? This is also going to be about not indulging in toxic relationships just because you guys get that zip from somebody. Like, you know what I'm talking about when I say that. I mean, come on, Sag. You know what I'm talking about when I say that zip. So if you feel very attracted to somebody, or I'm not saying to like not start new relationships, and I'm not saying to not start new projects during Mars retrograde. What I am saying is to just pay attention to the details of it. Maybe take your time, like slow down, let the process unfold naturally. Don't try to force things happen. Don't jump from 1 to 100 in a relationship with somebody, because the 5th house is about, you know, that connection, that sexual desire and that connection and that passion with other people, and that thing, that drive that we have inside of us. And with Mars retrograde, that energy is going to be even stronger. So you're going to want to like push forward into relationships with other people and not take your time to reassess them first. Capricorn, this is happening in your 4th house of home and family. So lots of passive aggressiveness within your home, lots of passive aggressiveness when it comes to, and you know, this is like, the people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, they're just going to annoy the fuck out of you. That's just the way it's going to go. Like, and so your job, because they will be annoying, and they're not annoying you on purpose. Trust me, they're not trying to annoy you on purpose. But your job is to make sure that you are reacting or not reacting to those people in a way that, like, you don't want to lose relationships because Mars is retrograde. Like, that would not be the most fun thing to go through. So just to make sure that You know, you're being very open and very transparent and not passive aggressive and not aggressive aggressive to people around your home environment. Aquarius, third, this is happening in your third house, Aquarius rising. So communication is going to be a struggle. If you are traveling short distances during this time, just be very careful on the road. Be very careful when you are commuting to work. Be very careful when you are having conversations with people. You may say some things, and then after it comes out of your mouth, you're like, oh my God, I thought I was just thinking that. I didn't even realize that was like blurting out of my mouth, like blah, 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 blah. I call it word vomit. But this Mars retrograde, especially when Mercury goes retrograde, you're going to have that thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just saying everything that's on my mind. Because usually Aquarius risings, like you guys just sort of want to keep it light and fun and, you know, not so deep and heavy all the time. And I mean, like you want to do the deep conversations, but you don't like doing that all the time. You like to keep it, you know, very light and airy and fun. And it's going to be hard for you to do that during Mars retrograde. Pisces, this is happening in your second house. This is going to bring a lot of attention to your self-worth. This is going to bring a lot of attention to your material possessions, how you really relate to your material items, how you relate to your environment, and how you relate to the things that you have built along the way, like the way that your life looks and how you built things along the way. I feel like you're going to be reassessing a lot of that. It's almost as if your whole idea of what self-worth is supposed to look like is going to change for you. There's a sense that you're almost like revisiting what material value actually means, and revisiting, like, you know, like some of you might even come out of this thinking like money is just evil, and maybe some of you already think that money is evil, and that you're coming out of this thinking even more like we really need to have a new kind of system, and we really don't need to be in this kind of like evil empire sort of thing anymore. So there's going to be a lot of revisiting what like material stuff and how it relates to you and how you place your self-worth on it. There you go. So if you guys have any questions about this Mars retrograde, I think the biggest thing is to not be afraid of it, man. We've been going through a lot of really hard transits this year. Yes, the second half of the year or the rest of the year is not going to be the easiest transits to get through, but you have survived 100% of your days, and all of your hard days are included in that. So you can survive more. I have faith in all of you, and I love you guys very much. Thanks for hanging in with me this whole time, if you were here and listened the whole time. And let me know if you have any questions, and I love you guys so much. Please take care of yourselves. Bye.